Hey guys, it's Story. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over all of the books that I have read so far this year. I know it's not technically June yet, which is like halfway through the year, but I thought I'd go ahead and update you guys. I don't have a lot of books to talk about because unfortunately I've not read that much. Do you want to be in the video? I almost forgot my co-host, Miss Mavelou. You want to say hi? They can't even see you. Say hi. I have been doing the mid-year freakout tag usually halfway through the year to kind of update my channel with what I've read so far this year, but a lot of people don't know what the mid-year freakout tag is. They don't understand that you're going to talk about the best and worst books that you've read so far that year because it's just called mid-year freakout tag. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. So I'm just going to start doing more regular reading updates. I know I haven't done one yet this year, but I'm trying. Okay, maybe next year I will do 3 or 4 instead of just 2. Yeah, unfortunately I haven't read that many books. I thought 2020 was a bad reading year. No, 2021 is the worst reading year I've had so far. Let me see how many books I've read actually. I've read 7 books so far this year. So if you're not new here, you already know that I don't read fast. I'm not a fast reader. I like to actually enjoy books. I read for fun and entertainment. So I make my yearly reading goal 20 books, but I usually read about 25. So at the end of June, I should be at least 10, going on like 12, 13 really. So yeah, I'm quite a bit behind, but I feel like 7 books is more doable for a video than that many. So let's just go ahead and go over the books I've read so far this year. I never know how to categorize this, if you want me to go in a linear review or a star rating review. So just let me know down below if you prefer one or the other. I think today I'm just gonna go ahead and do a linear review. So the first books I read this year up until the most recent books I read. Also, most of these are audiobooks since I've not been doing good reading physically. I've only read 2 physical books out of these 7. So I will go ahead and mention audiobooks.com because I am now an affiliate with them. I'm kind of mad that I didn't know about audiobooks.com sooner. I've tried so many different audiobook apps and never liked them. I always felt like they either didn't have enough options for me. I would search for audiobooks all the time and they wouldn't have them, or they were just far too expensive. Audible, in my opinion, is far too expensive, and SCRIBD I loved, but they only have like 40% of the books I'm searching for. If you haven't signed up on audiobooks.com yet, I have a link down in the description where you can get your first 3 audiobooks for free. Yeah, 3. I actually did this through someone else's link, I think, and I was so happy I did it because I finally found an app where the books I want to read are on the app. They have a lot of different stuff too. They have like podcast and sleep stuff, a recommendation list for you. They have your wish list, your library you're currently reading. Like, it's such a cool app. So I mean, you should try it out anyways, just to get 3 audiobooks for free, and then if you don't like it, of course you can cancel anytime you want. But yeah, if you're interested, the link is in the description, of course. And every time someone signs up, I get 1 free audiobook. So for every 3 free audiobooks I give someone, I get 1 free audiobook, just so you're aware. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get into the books. So the reason I haven't read that much this year is because I have been in 3 different reading slumps. 3 different reading slumps, yeah. And all for different reasons. So I really want to do a video just about reading slumps in general. I really want to help people with it. I kind of just want to do some research so that I can help myself at this point. This first book put me in a reading slump because I did not like it whatsoever. It was way too long. The writing was amazing, of course, but the story just didn't really go anywhere for me, and it was just way too long for my liking. I need to be entertained, and it was just not an entertaining book. And that is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V. Schwab. I know I'm gonna make a lot of people mad with this, and I've talked about it a little bit on my channel already. I'm sorry if you really like this book. It's a book that's very like hate or love. You either don't like it at all or you are just like obsessed with it. Her writing in this book is so good. So if you just want to read good writing, then yeah, you'll probably like this book. But if you read for entertainment like me, then you're not gonna like this book because the story just really drags. I did not connect with any of the characters. I know a lot of people like Addie and then they'll like Henry even more. I did like Henry. He was probably my favorite, but he still just wasn't enough for me. When I'm thinking about a story of a girl who has lived 300 years and she is basically in this hate-love relationship with the devil. Like, it just sounds so intriguing. Like, I need more of that. And the first half of the book, the devil really isn't in it much. It's mainly just flashbacks with him, and they're very like small and quick. I just needed more of like the actual devil versus Addie kind of interaction. The first half of the book, you're basically just following Addie's life up until that point, and she just has a boring life. Like, she stays in New York basically the entire time. Sometimes she goes to France. That's basically it. Like, she knows all of these cool places in New York. She's super into artsy stuff. She meets different people, but nothing really comes from that. The story doesn't really start until she meets Henry, and I think that's why everyone loves Henry so much. But yeah, just way too slow, way too long. If this book was 100 pages less, I probably would have liked it more. But yeah, I just needed more to happen. I needed the characters to be a little bit better, which I know a lot of people just like really love the characters, but I don't see how. The end of the book, I realized what the theme of it was. Obviously, Addie's situation. That is what the book is about, but it also has this kind of art theme to it, and it doesn't really come together until the end. And I've never read anything like that before, so I think that's why I gave it a better rating than what I did, just because at the end I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now. That's kind of cool, but I just really wish it would have been 100 pages less and I would have liked it more. I think I gave it 2 stars, 2.5. Yeah, I guess I should have started with the rating, shouldn't I? A 3-star read for me is an average book. So this was definitely below average. And yeah, I still love Victoria Schwab. I'm still gonna read her books, but just not my favorite. Next, I read some poetry, and that was Swimming Lessons by Lily Reinhart. I still don't know how to say her name. Hopefully you can see it. I'm sure you've seen this in like every bookstore. It was a bit overpriced at first, to be honest. It was like $20 or something to buy this, you know, small, fast poetry book. I don't know why poetry books are so expensive at bookstores. You read this so fast. Why would I pay $18 for a 500-page fantasy read and then pay $20? It just blows my mind. But this was a really good book. I gave it I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. A lot of the ratings were lower than mine. If you haven't already realized, I have unpopular opinions when it comes to reading. I actually filmed a video quite a while ago that I haven't posted yet that just goes over all my unpopular opinions, so I probably should post that here soon. Swimming Lessons was really good if you are the target, you know, person for this. If you're a lot like me, you love modern poetry and you are a young adult female, you'll probably like this. It goes over young love, but also a lot of, you know, passion and creativity, and that was my favorite part to it. I just related a lot to, not really the fame aspect, because she talks about being creative and passionate, and then also having the expectations that come with fame and stuff like that. Definitely didn't relate to that, but I really felt like it was moving. The poems aren't, you know, expert poems by any means. She's not an expert poet, but this is how I would write if I wrote a poetry book. And so I think that's why there's so many negative reviews, and a lot of the reviews didn't relate to what she was talking about. So obviously poetry is subjective. If you don't relate to it, you're not gonna like it as much. So I would say if you like the same things I do, you probably are going to like this. If you just like modern poetry in general and you are a female, like you're probably gonna like this. Next, I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is the same author that wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and so I'm gonna be listening to that audiobook next so then I can watch the movie. I've never seen the movie before, but this book got 5 out of 5 stars for me. I don't know how it would have been if I read it physically, but this is an amazing audiobook. It's probably my top recommended audiobook, especially if you are a creative individual, and that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, you have to be an artist or a graphic designer or whatnot. If you just have a creative outlet in some way, if you feel like, you know, you like creativity or are that kind of individual, then you will like this because it's very like broad. It's not, you know, specific. I mean, she does talk about writing because she's a writer, but it's basically about inspiration when it comes to creativity and being able to keep that inspiration going. It was just really good. I actually got super motivated and inspired after reading this to do more for my channel because this is my creative outlet personally. I love reading, obviously, giving recommendations, stuff like that, but I do love filming and editing, posting on YouTube, interacting with you guys. So that is my creative outlet. If you think you are a creative individual, like you really need to read this, especially if you're in a funk, if you're in a reading slump even. I think this will help you. Yeah, it was really, really good. She's kind of like a poet, really. I just feel like she's very insightful, just like with life in general. And so yeah, I'm really excited to read Eat, Pray, Love next. The next book I read was Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. And if you've seen me talk about this book on my channel yet, you know I get really excited when I talk about this book because it's just amazing. I love this book so much. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Honestly, that star is just because it had first book syndrome, in my opinion. I think the next book, and I'm not sure if there'll be a 3rd book, but I do know the next book is coming out in September. I think that's gonna be 5 out of 5 stars because I loved this book so much. It just had a couple problems I couldn't ignore. I think they'll be fixed in the next book, and who knows, maybe I'll increase the rating to 4.5 eventually. But if you like the Caraval series, you have to read this book. Friend Megan here on YouTube, Mythical Megan, recommended that I read this book because she knows I'm a big fan of the Caraval series, and yeah, I definitely would recommend it. It's not exactly the same. We are following our main character and some other characters that are magic. They are magicians, so they are like supernatural. The main characters in the Caraval series are not supernatural. They just have like a ton of magical people around them sort of sense, but there is a magic competition in this book as well as Caraval, so yeah, there's definitely some similarities, but don't go into it expecting the exact same thing. I realize I'm not really explaining what these books are about. I feel like Addie Larue, everyone knows what that book is about, and I kind of explained the last 2, so let's just start over here real quick. Where Dreams Descend is about our main character Kalia, who I love. I've never related to a main character more than Kalia. Well, another book I'm about to talk about, I related to a main character probably more than Kalia, but she's just very like, she's confident but not. She's like any other person. She has insecurities, but she kind of holds herself very confidently, and because of that, she's a very polarizing person. A lot of people love her, a lot of people hate her, and she never knows what they're gonna be, but she also just comes off so confident that it just seems like she doesn't really care. And so I don't know, I kind of related to this quite a bit. I'm not gonna go into detail about that. Anyways, she's amazing. She is fierce. She's definitely a type 3, probably like a fire sign. She is a female magician in a world where female magicians aren't really heard of anymore, but she doesn't really know that because she is in a club. She performs at a club and has since she can remember, and it is a secret club that is in the woods. Owner of the club, another magician. It's kind of hard to explain him. It seems like he's kind of holding her there and wants her there. They also kind of seem like they have a thing, so she does escape to this city that he would not give her any information about. She gets there and she finds a competition, and of course everyone is very surprised because she's a female magician. Not only are there only male magicians, but this competition does not allow females. There she meets a judge, DeMarco, which is one of my favorite characters, and they have a little thing, so there's a bit of a love triangle. It's mainly about our main character like kind of finding herself and coming into her own, but also you're learning about the history of the world. There's like these magical families. Kind of gives me like these Harry Potter vibes in a way, mixed with Caraval. And yeah, there's just a lot of mystery to this book, and the star that I left off was basically because there were a couple things that just weren't explained and didn't really make sense to me, and also the ending. I wasn't a fan of the ending. It happened very quickly, it was very abrupt, and it just didn't really make sense. And I felt like a lot of things just weren't wrapped up, but that's because there's another book coming out. Still really like this. I mentioned this 1,000 times, but I had a subscriber send this to me off my wish list. So if you want me to read any books, just go to my wish list down in the description. And if you get one of those books for me, I have this thing on my channel where I have to drop whatever I'm reading and read the book that you sent me, and I will do a vlog out of it. So if you have been thinking about picking this up, or maybe you bought it and just haven't read it yet, let this be the next book you read, and then let me know what you think about it. Next, I listened to Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This was for my WandaVision video. So if you watched WandaVision and are a big fan of it, I'll put a card up here somewhere so that you can go watch it, and I'll leave it in the description, of course. Basically, I went over a bunch of book recommendations that are books like the show. They have the same themes, or they will give you the same feelings as WandaVision, and this was one of them, so I tried this out for that video. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was an okay book. I know a lot of people really like this book, but I am not a thriller person just in general, and so that's probably why I didn't give it a high rating. I would definitely say it's like WandaVision, but it's only some of the themes of WandaVision, so I think WandaVision is just more specific than this book. But you're basically following our main character, who has been a physicist, is that how you say that? Physicist? He's a physics professor, and basically he gave up on his research a while back. He has a family now. He did it for his family, and he randomly gets abducted, and it has to do with kind of like the research that he gave up on. In another dimension, he actually finished it, and so now it is him versus all these different alternate versions of himself. It's definitely interesting and fun, but I knew what was happening the entire time. I guessed absolutely everything in this book. And I think maybe that's why I'm not a big thriller person, is because I don't get how people can be surprised. Like, I want to be surprised, trust me, like that's what I'm looking for. I want to be entertained and surprised, but I just guess plots all the time now, and I used to not be able to at all. So maybe I've just been reading too much now, but I can always guess where thrillers are gonna go. It just makes sense. You can see what the author's doing. So yeah, this was just like an average book for me. It was an okay audiobook to listen to. Me and my boyfriend listened to it when we went to North Carolina on a like mini weekend vacation. It was okay. I mean, if you like thrillers, you probably should read this because you'll probably like it more than me, but just an okay book. Next is a book I absolutely loved, and that was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. Our main character is a type 3, and I am a Enneagram type 3, and so I've never related to a main character more than April May. She basically goes viral on social media because she stumbled across this robot that was in New York, and it just kind of showed up randomly. She posted like a YouTube video, and it went viral because all of these robots were put all over the world and no one knows where they came from. And so it's kind of this question to, okay, is the government doing this? Is this aliens? Are these just actual live robots? No one knows really what's going on, and so it's a very like intriguing and mysterious time, and a lot of people go to April May for answers. And so she's kind of like this overnight celebrity expert, and so it's a really good commentary on celebrities and how we treat them, influencers, just media in general, and how we act as like a mass to those types of people, and how we come to conclusions like together and solving mysteries. And it's just a really good commentary on like just pop culture and media in general, and I just loved it was from her perspective because she is a type 3, and she was just like go 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 the entire time. But I am so excited to read the next book. It's definitely going to be one of my next audiobooks. It is quite a bit longer, like it's like double the amount of time as the first book, but I enjoyed it so much. The narrator is really good as well, and I don't read sci-fi very often. I didn't even realize this was sci-fi until I was like super into it, but it's definitely fun, and you're solving this mystery with her and everybody else. And yeah, I was just like so hooked. I'm never hooked on audiobooks like this. Like I was seriously just like, I had to keep reading, and it's just a perfect recommendation for a type 3 if you're a type 3 like me. So definitely a good one. 5 out of 5 stars. It might be my favorite book I read this year. Maybe, we'll see. And last but not least is the book I just finished yesterday, the day before, I think, and that is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. As a lot of you know, Christina Lauren is one of my favorite contemporary romance authors. Are they contemporary romance or just romance? I don't know. I don't really know the difference, to be honest, but this was a really good read. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, or maybe 5 stars. I don't know. I was so in between, so I just, you know, gave it that 5-star rating and then put in the description of 4.5 stars. This is like my 4th or 5th Christina Lauren book. They're actually about to send me their newest book, Soulmate Equation. I'm so excited to read it. As soon as I get that in the mail, that is my next read. I really just want like, I want to get back into physical books. I'm a physical book person. Like I need to do this. But anyways, this was really, really good. I've given The Honey Don't List and Dating You Hating You 5 stars, so I guess those are a little more, but I love work romances, and this wasn't a work romance, so maybe that was the difference. Yeah, honestly, at first when we meet Hazel, I'm like, oh my gosh, another one of these girls. They're different because they're quirky, and like, and that's fine. Like if they're supposed to be that character, just have them do things that are different. Don't have them constantly saying, you know me, Hurricane Hazel, and you know the other characters are like, oh, that Hazel always doing something so embarrassing. Just have the character do it, you know? That's usually the only time I get frustrated with characters, is when that happens. It's like, well, show me how they are, you know? Don't continue to tell me the entire book. But I actually grew to love her over the span of the book, which is actually really funny because the other character, Josh, does too. He grows to love her over the book. And yeah, it's definitely friends to lovers if you like that trope. I'm more specifically a hate to love trope person, but I do like this trope as well. And yeah, so Josh is more like, you know, type A, more put together. He's supposed to be like the perfect human. And then Hazel is more like type 7, likes variety, very out there and eccentric. And so you don't think they would be a good thing together, but they are really good friends, and then obviously it's going to turn into something more because it's a romance. But they're basically trying to not date. So they met in college. He knows they won't date, she knows they won't date, so then they like start going on all these double dates and stuff, and it's very entertaining and quick. It's a cute, you know, quick read, and that's kind of what I needed since I'm not reading very many books right now. I'm definitely on a contemporary kick. I mean, it was fun. I actually got surprised. I did not see the plot twist coming, and so that was really nice. You don't really normally have plot twists in a book like this. And so yeah, I finished it literally in a few days. It was addicting, quick, cute read, and I really liked it, and I'm not surprised at all because I have liked almost all of Christina Lauren's books. So those are all of the books that I have read so far this year in 2021. A little disappointed in myself, not gonna lie, but I know I'm gonna get a ton of reading done this summer. And once I can actually read physically, like I'm reading like a physical book and an audiobook at the same time, I think I can, you know, get more reading done. But I'm not trying to put pressure on myself because that's when you get in a reading slump, and I've already been in 3 reading slumps this year. So there's that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books down below, or you plan to read them, what you've read so far this year. Like this video, of course, if you like the video, subscribe if you feel like it, if you haven't yet, and I will see you in my next one.